This podcast is not intended to usurp or undermine the authority of your spiritual leadership. Our aim is to support the spiritual growth of our listeners.
So modifiable lifestyle things that can affect your brain. High blood pressure, we got to control that. High cholesterol, control that. Diabetes, if you drink alcohol, don't, because it causes that, it's called alcoholic dementia. It does affect your brain. Can't think the things, it's a neurotoxin. It literally kills your brain cells when you drink alcohol. For those who have addictions, smoking, because it reduces oxygen to your brain, which then causes brain cell death. Same thing as if there's a child in utero where the mother is smoking. It's literally like putting a pillow over their head while she's smoking, because it limits the oxygen that's going to the brain. So yes, their brain is smaller. They have intellectual disabilities. So it's the same as adults. Like if you're vaping, it's been popular now with teenagers and even adults. I see them vaping everywhere. I'm like, when you replace oxygen with something else, your brain is not getting the oxygen it needs. Therefore, there is brain cell death, and it's causing some problems. So that's a big thing too. And why do you think we see the increase in dementia? I'm having 40-year-olds with dementia, with strokes. Like, my brain is like, what is happening? These people, because of the foods we're eating, the things we're drinking, we're just like excessive. United States, we're very good at being excessive. If we like it, we're just going to do it.
Yep.
And just because it's permissible doesn't that mean it's good for us? So just remember that when we're shopping for foods or we're trying to listen to the industry, because it's permissible does not mean it's good for you. Just because it's on the shelf does not mean it's good for you. It means it was marketed to make sure it was sweet and fluffy.
And make money.
To make money.
It's not about you. It's about them making money.
Yes, it's about making sure they can provide the product that the consumer wants. It's all about consuming. We're consumers. So if they want you to consume more, they will change the product, as we talked about in our previous podcasts. If they want you to consume. So they will make dough conditioning softeners into the breads that your body has to process. They make these sugars that are high fructose corn syrup that makes your blood sugar spike up because it's like quick and easy sugar. Those things contribute to, changes in blood sugars in your brain and more inflammation, those inflammatory markers in your everywhere. And that causes increased risk of brain damage and dementia. So they're finding that out.
Why do you think so many physician students are, I wouldn't say opposed, but there's a lot more definitely here that study more mainstream Alzheimer's and dementia care compared to integrative, when we have probably 20 providers who do it mainstream, and very few where you'd have to drive about 30 minutes to an hour to find somebody who does it integrative, when there's much more results from that than medicating. Why would somebody go down that path instead of do the little extra work to actually do integrative?
Right. It's the cost-benefit ratio. So those that don't have the resources or their insurance won't cover it, they say, well, it's better than nothing. So they'll just kind of stay in the realm that's easiest. There's always algorithms. When you're in the medical field, you see that there's algorithms that, when I say algorithms, the doctors say, do this, say yes or no, go here. Yes or no, go there. They have these pathways that insurance companies want to make sure that their best dollar goes to the best place. And Medicare, or whatever the insurance might be, restricts that. So a lot of times people are getting the care that the insurance is allowing them to have. And so the mainstream doctors can only do so much, because if they want them to go above and beyond, insurance won't cover it and people don't want to pay out of pocket. So that's where a lot of the struggle is insurance isn't hey, I don't really believe it's a good idea to keep them living longer. You know what I'm saying? They're just trying to get by. So that's kind of what it is. If you want your family member, if you feel like you want them to have a quality of life and you have the better resources, then by all means, we can do that. But then there's those resources where it's limited, and those doctors just say, hey, let's just get you by We know that this is an end result that's not going to get any better. It's just going to get worse. And so they just kind of go that route.
So let me ask you this. I think in school, I can't remember which, probably health class, you read one of the top statistics that kills people is like coronary artery disease.
Yeah.
Which that's an eating thing. So why is it doctors required to take nutrition courses? Like if this is a problem and Americans are facing this problem, is it just the consumerism of this country? Like,
I see the consumerism. So physicians are to practice medicine to help ailments. But the thing with coronary artery disease and cancer and diabetes and those types of things, those are the choices of the people of what they can or can't do. So doctors aren't the only, we've elevated doctors to like the know-all of know-alls, and that they are the supreme, like, if you need anything, go to the doctor. You're sick, go to the doctor, you know? So with nutrition, I would say don't go to the doctor, you know, learn on your own and go see a nutritionist or something of that nature. Like if we know coronary artery disease is the highest killer, well, I'm going to learn all I can about how to prevent it. And you can learn that through books or whatever the case might be. But physicians are to treat, we're giving physicians more roles in their position than what they really need to be doing. And yes, if I'm a physician, I see somebody with coronary artery disease, I'd be like, they always say weight management. They do try to promote that. I do hear them saying like weight management and eat more fruits and vegetables. And the person's like, but I'd rather take a cholesterol medication. Give me the pill. And the doctor's like, here you go. And so that's really what our society, when society wants to do better because they see the value in it, then they will do better. But it's always that cost-benefit ratio. What's the cost of me benefiting from this? So I have high cholesterol and I know that, or high blood pressure, and I know that it's going to affect my brain long term. It's that long suffering. Like, you know, what you do now is going to affect down the road, but we want now.
right.
So I'd rather take a pill, or I'd rather eat my salty foods because it makes me happy, versus restricting or disciplining yourself so that way that it doesn't cause these things long term. Because we're not long term thinkers. Society, we're always like here and now, dopamine, you know, here and now. So that's where when we become, but you know what who can help you with that? The Holy Spirit. Seriously.
And that discipline.
And sometimes not even the discipline, because you can say like, I'm going to go on a diet today and I'm going to eat, you know, 10 apples a day, and, you know, all these different things, but it's not sustainable. But what is sustainable is like you asking for the purpose behind it. Like, Lord, what am I doing that is hurting my body? Not only my mind, what habits am I doing that is hurting my body? What do I need to change? And the Lord will speak to you through people, through experiences, through, you know, sessions like this, like, hey, this is hurting my body. And he'll be like, let me give you the grace to be able to not eat that. Instead of going to something to satisfy that pleasure of like, I just want to eat it because it tastes good. You think to yourself, is this nourishing the body that God gave me? You change your mindset. Is this nourishing my body that God gave me? It doesn't mean you can't ever have something that's just yummy and tastes good. I'm not saying I never eat anything that's not healthy. But there's also, what are you doing on a consistent basis? You know, that type of thing.
I think he also helps us with impulse control.
Impulse control, yes. He'll help you with that. But also there's foods that cause like some impulse issues. Like when your blood sugar is up and down, it causes emotional irregularity. Same with sleeping. So sleeping affects the brain. And this isn't in my notes, but when you don't get enough sleep, let's say 6 hours or less, okay, or if you have sleep apnea, you're not getting enough oxygen to the brain. Well, if you're not getting enough oxygen to your brain, it's causing some brain death, and that can cause some dementia, okay? It increases your risk of dementia. Sleep. So they're finding, you know, sleep affects your brain, and it can cause that emotional irregularity. You see a 2-year-old toddler who hasn't had a nap, okay? They're all over the place. Do you think that changes as an adult? No, it doesn't. Yeah. So when you haven't got enough sleep, you're going to be more emotional. You're going to be more short fused. Aggression increases. I mean, I could go over some research studies. Aggression increases, mood instability, the back and forth. I'm happy and sad. I'm happy and sad. It's because of that lack of sleep. When you get on a regular schedule, your brain can actually do what it needs to do to sleep. And so that's why sleep is important. But we're a sleep deprived society because like, go, 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 do this, do this, do this. And then so one last thing. And then you're on your dopamine reels at nighttime with your phone, and it affects your sleep too, because it decreases the melatonin in your body when you have a screen in front of your face. And you need that melatonin to go to sleep. But if you're watching a screen, your melatonin goes down. So there's all these different sleep habits. You can Google everything. You can AI anything. Anything I'm telling you today, you can literally AI and find it. But the thing is it's not in front of your face. It's not really that important yet.
It's not mainstream.
It's not mainstream. You don't really see it yet. But if you want to be preventive, which a lot of insurance companies are not preventive, that's why they don't cover chiropractic, and some do, some don't. If you want to be preventive, you have to think, what can I do now that will affect me in the future that is helpful for me? And so let's go over a few of those things. So what do you think? And you guys already know. What do you think? And because you've already said to me some things that are healthy. What do you think is something that makes your brain happy and your heart happy? What are foods that you eat that makes your heart and your brain happy?
Fruits and vegetables.
Fruits and vegetables. Oh my word. There's research studies all out there that fruits and vegetables, like God created fruits and vegetables for us to eat, and to think that we need to eat them so that way we can be healthy. I just can't even imagine. I just don't know. That's why we know what we need to be doing. That's the thing. We know what we need to be doing. We know what we need to be eating for the most part. I mean, there's certain things, but
It was the Garden of Eden.
It was the Garden of Eden.
It wasn't the McDonald's.
It wasn't the McDonald's. These processed things. So the single most effective nutritional change you can make to prevent dementia is to shift toward a whole food, plant-predominant eating pattern like the MIND diet. It's basically a mix of the Mediterranean diet. You can Google these, Mediterranean diet and the DASH diet. The Mediterranean diet is a lot of like good oils and olive oils and fish and fruits and vegetables. And then the DASH diet is basically limiting sodium in your diet. But those target the brain specifically. And they showed that adherence to these patterns lowers Alzheimer's risk by 53%. That's a big percentage, half. And even moderate, like adherence to these, eating more fruits and vegetables and trying to limit the salt reduces your risk by 35%. So if I know that Alzheimer's can be reduced by half, guess what I'm going to be doing? Eating more fruits and vegetables. Those types of things. Why do you think it's so hard to eat fruits and vegetables?
I think price.
Taste, maybe.
Taste? Because we're not used to it.
It's not sweet.
Not sweet. Well, fruit can be, but it's not sweet like high fructose corn syrup. So there is a Bible verse on that. I'll say that. It's on, let me see. Romans 12:2. Don't copy the behavior and customs of this world, but let God transform you into a new person by changing the way you think. Then you will learn to know God's will for you, which is good and pleasing and perfect. So not only is that spiritual in your own self, we don't want to copy the way that people behave with the way they eat or their activities. So if it's mainstream to sit and do nothing, or to eat fatty foods and fried foods and whatever the case might be.
Over vegetables
or fruits that God created for us to eat in the garden. We don't want to copy those, because guess what? It's going to hurt us over the long term. And how are you going to do God's will when you're sick all the time? So somebody who's sick quite often, or their mind is not clear, they tend to be very self-possessed. About me and my day and all those types. It's hard to do ministry and to look for others when you have the flu. Do you want to go out and go tell somebody about the gospel? No, you're sick. You feel sick. You have to take care of yourself. So you kind of become selfish. Like, no, I don't want to make dinner. I'm tired and I don't feel good. So if you're always like, it's hard to serve others when you're tired and you don't feel good. So if you want to be a servant, If you want to fulfill God's purpose for your life, to do ministry or to live life, you want to be healthy and have ability to do things. So if I'm going to do everything in my power, now I'm not saying like you do all of these things and then you're never going to have issues. I'm not saying that. I'm saying if you have the power and the choice to make certain choices, start now in small ways, and that will affect your future. But you can also, like, if you follow the ways of the world in what they're watching, what they're eating, what they're doing, you're going to be toxic. You're not going to do well. It doesn't end well.